गदाधर मोर कुला अद्वैत आचार्य बला गदाधर मोर कुला हरि विलासाई मोरा नारा हरि विलासाई मोरा वैष्णवेर पद धूली ताहे मोर स्नान केली वैष्णवेर पद धूली काहे मोर स्नान केली तर्पण मोरा वैष्णवेर नाम तर्पण मोरा वैष्णवेर नाम विचार करिया मने भक्ति रस स्वादने विचार करिया मने भक्ति रस स्वादने मध्यस्थ श्री भगवत पुराण मध्यस्थ श्री भगवत पुराण वैष्णवेर उच्चिष्ट ताहे मोर मन निष्ठा वैष्णवेर उच्चिष्ट ताहे मोर मन निष्ठा वैष्णवेरा नामेते उल्लास वैष्णवेरा नामेते उल्लास वृंदावने चबुतारा ताहे मोर मन गिरा काहे मोर मन गिरा कहे दीना नरोत्तम दास कहे दीना नरोत्तम दास नरोत्तम दास धन मोर नित्यानंद पति मोर गौरचंदा गौरचंदा धन मोर नित्यानंद पति मोर गौरचंदा प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोरा जुगल किशोरा प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोरा जुगल किशोरा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी यमुना तीरवनचारी जय गौरांगी बेंगलोरेश्वर गौरांगी बेंगलोरेश्वर गौरांगी जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रमाई जय सुदर्शना जय जय निताय चैतन्य जय निताय चैतन्य निताय चैतन्य जय निताय चैतन्य जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद हरिनाम संकीर्तन की ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरतुषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna bros. So I am very, very grateful for all the devotees for giving me an opportunity to speak on Bhagavatam. So especially I thank His Grace. I mean, I'm grateful to His Grace, Kesha Kripa Sindhu Prabhu, for the topic that he has given me today. So in the last two Iyf classes, we saw the discussion of first canto and the first chapter of the first canto and the second chapter. So where elaborately it was discussed by His Grace Brajakrishna Prabhu and His Grace Mahananda Prabhu. So today I have been asked to speak one of the very important philosophical discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam, that is the first canto, third chapter, which is very philosophical. So just before to going to that, we'll recite one shloka, so that we are prepared to know the summary of this shloka. That is by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He tells one very important, beautiful verse. Just give me a minute. Yeah. Yeah, please repeat. सिद्धांत बोलिए चित्ते ना करे आलस, यहाँ है ते कृष्ण लागे सुदृढ़ मानस. सिद्धांत बोलिए चित्ते ना करे आलस, यह है ते कृष्ण लागे सुदृढ़ मानस. सिद्धांत बोलिए चित्ते ना कराल, यह है ते कृष्ण लागे सुदृढ़ मानस. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A sincere student should not neglect the discussion of such conclusions, considering them controversial. For such discussions strengthen the mind. Thus, one's mind become attached to Sri Krishna. So, the third chapter of the first canto, which is very, very important, as we said. So, the topic of this third chapter is Krishna is the source of all incarnations. So, the first three chapters we see very, very elaborate discussions of Sutta Goswami and Shavanaka rishis who are sitting. So, before starting, I beg prayers and blessings from all the senior devotees, especially Prabhuji who is sitting, and His Grace Bhakti Vinod Prabhuji. Please show blessings if there are any mistakes. So please correct it. So that the message could be understood properly. So this chapter, Krishna is the source of incarnation, is very, very important, because in this chapter we find one of the very, very important shlokas around which all the shlokas of Srimad Bhagavatam move or rotate, and that is the Paribhasha Sutra, and that is called as how Krishna is the Swayam Bhagavan. From him come all the incarnations, right? Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Etecha amsha kala prumsha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Ridayanti Yuge Yuge. So how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from him come all the incarnations, is very, very important philosophical aspects that it has to be established. Because I remember, 3 years before, we had gone for book distribution in the train, in railway station. So when we had gone, we were going and, showing Bhagavad Gita books to the people. So when we are showing the books, there was one Pandit who was sitting in one of the AC compartment. So as soon as he found, us, so he started to discuss with us that, who is the Supreme? Is Vishnu the Supreme Lord or Krishna? You always talk about Krishna, Krishna. But do you know who is the Supreme Lord from whom all the incarnations come? So he was telling that Vishnu is the source. But we tell Krishna is the source. So how is that, from the philosophical aspects, how is Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And we know naturally also we can conclude that yes, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. See, some people also have doubt. See, Vishnu has how many hands? 4 hands. Krishna has how many hands? 2 hands. So those who has more should be greater, right? Correct, no? No. So philosophically, we need to discuss that, how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. And in this chapter, many acharyas have commented for this verse how that Krishna is the Supreme. So we will try to discuss in the allocated time as such possible to try to complete. So now Shavanakadi rishis have asked 6 important questions, right? That anybody knows what are the first 2 questions? Last time also this question was asked. What is the first question? What is the ultimate good for all the humanity? What is the second verse? What is the essence of all the scriptures? What is the third verse? Why did Lord Krishna come down to this material world? What is the fourth verse? Fourth question? Why do Purusha avatars have come? What is the purpose of Purusha avatar? Fifth question? Leela avatars. And the sixth question? After the Supreme Lord has gone back to his own abode, where did the religious principles take shelter? So the first 3 questions has been discussed. So today we will try to discuss all the other 3 questions has been answered in this chapter, which is very, very important in that sense. So please repeat this verse. Suta Vacha. So if possible, devotees can try to have the verse open so that we'll be going very fast since we have to cover the shlokas present in this. And there are many, many important shlokas. So we'll not try to repeat all the verses. We'll try to repeat a few verses which are very important. Just give me a minute. My laptop has become slow. Jagre Paurusham Rupam Bhagavan Mahad. 1 minute. Bhagavan Mahad Adibhi Sambhutam Shodashakalam Adau Loka Shishikshaya. So in the second chapter, last few verses, already for the third question, answer has been answered. That the Purusha avatars are coming from the Supreme Lord Krishna himself. That who are the three Purusha avatars? Karanodakashaya Vishnu, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu and Shirodakashaya Vishnu. So the continuation is given in these, the further in the first 5 verses also here. You can see here this. So there are totally 5 different subject aspects that has to be discussed in this third chapter. So first 5 verses talk about Purusha avatars. So how Mahavishnu is the person or is the expansion from whom all this universe has come about. And the Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, we'll also discuss more. So he is the person who is there in the Brahmanda, who is taking care of the whole Brahmanda. And third is Shirodakashaya Vishnu, who is present as Paramatma in the heart of all living entities. Yeah, you're able to see? So this is the third question. Why Krishna has appeared? So why Krishna has appeared? Because the jivas who have forgotten the Supreme Lord are roaming in this material world, correct? So they don't have any desire to go back to Godhead. How much is been called to come back, they don't want to go back. So Lord, being compassionate upon all the living entities, descends in this material world in the form of different incarnations to reclaim them back to Godhead. That is the answer given. Yeah, please read.
Assuming the roles of incarnations, the Lord performs pastimes, Leela avatars, to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. Leela avatars are described in chapter 3.
So this is the whole summary that we are going to discuss. So totally 5 aspects are there. So the first one is the roles of Purusha avatars, then the different incarnations, especially totally 22 incarnations, but actually many more incarnations are there. So 22 incarnations primarily are being described. Then how Krishna is the source of innumerable incarnations, and material forms of Lord and Jiva are imaginary, and the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. So before understanding the role of Purusha avatars, Lord Krishna explains in 11th canto. Very important example he gives why that we don't have the desire to go back to why the soul gets entrapped in this material world. So Lord Krishna tells there in the 11th canto that the senses, the material senses that all of us have, these senses are like bad children. They are like bad sons. I hope all of you know what do you mean by bad sons, right? When all of us were. So usually when a child does a mistake, whom does they catch? Parents, correct? Na? Especially any mistake the child does, they catch parents. I remember when we were in childhood, so we all used to play in the houses of nearby neighborhood people. So the owner of that house had kept some 1 lakh that time. It was in something like 2005, 2006. That time, some 1 lakh worth check they had kept outside on the book for just a minute. So what these all children did, they took that check, they tore it into pieces and they threw it in the air. And they were dancing in that. And my God, when the owner came and saw his check, what I don't know whether it's crossed or uncrossed. So it was thrown here and there. He became so angry. So he did not catch us. He caught whom? He caught whom? They came to the parents to ask, okay, your son has done this and this. Similarly, Lord Krishna tells the senses of this world are also like this bad children. So now, who is the owner of these senses? The soul, the Atma who is present inside. Though the Atma is not at all related to the mistake that the children have done, but it is being punished. Correct? Na? So the parents came, those people came and asked to the parents that, give us 1 lakh back. The check, your son has torn it, we need him back. Otherwise, we'll not go away from this. So mother said that, you take this child and go, we don't want. From where we'll get 1 lakh check? We are not going to give this. So similarly, the Jiva who is very, very pure, who is very, very, Sachidananda, so many qualities. But because, he has a bad son, that is the living entities. What happens? The mistake that the material senses do in engaging in sense gratification of this material world. So the soul has to go through repeated cycle of birth and death. Correct? Na? So that's why the whole process of Krishna consciousness is to engage the bad children in the service of the Lord to become good children. So all the devotees who are engaging in Krishna consciousness are good children or bad children? Good children, because they are engaging their senses in the service of the Lord. So by this what happens is the living entity, the soul, what happens? He is glorified and he goes back home, back to Godhead. So now all the incarnations that are coming in this material world is only for the purpose to rectify these bad children to become good children. Correct? Now, so you see how Lord is so merciful. Correct? We see the verses in Bhagavad Gita where it is said, Surudam Sarva Bhutanam. Krishna tells that I am the most intimate friend of all the living entities in this material world. So even though, what you call a person, usually if you see the friend, there are different words in the Sanskrit. What are the different words that we use in Sanskrit for a friend? Mitra, Bandhu, Sakha, Atma Bandhu, Snehita, Surhuda, right? These are all different categories of friendship that a person can have with the other friends. But you see still, what you call, when a person is in the ICU, when a person is admitted in the ICU, can any of these friends go inside? Apart from doctors? But we don't call doctors as friends. Correct. So apart from doctors, they are friends. Otherwise, I think doctor will be unhappy. So, what you call. So, no friend can go inside. But there's one friend who is with that person. Who is that? Lord Krishna. Correct? So Lord Krishna is there in the form of the Paramatma in the heart of that son. So that's why it's very, very important to understand why so many expansions come down to this earth just for the business to help the living entities get attracted towards them and take them back to Godhead. So these are the Purushavataras and the different what you call activities that they perform. So this is being proved in the Bhagavad Gita using different verses. Yeah, please read this.
The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again. And under my will, it is annihilated again.
And so how the Lord is controlling the whole thing. Gham avishyacha bhutani dharayami aham ojasa. Yeah, read.
I enter into each planet and by my energy they stay in orbit.
Yes. So this is very, very important verse. Yadyad vibhuti mat sattvam Srimadujitamewa va Tattad eva vagachatvam Mama tejo amsha sambhavam. Jai Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maya ki Jai, Nitai Chaitanya ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki. Yeah, please read.
Know that all opulent, beautiful and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor.
My splendor. Yeah, read.
Shirodaksha Vishnu, the third Vishnu, lays in the Shweta Vipa in the Milk Ocean beyond the 14 planetary systems.
So there are 14 planetary systems in this Brahmanda, right? So Kshudakasha Vishnu stays where? There is see the Shweta Dvipa in the Milk Ocean that is there. So there on top, even beyond Dhruvatara, which is there. So Lord stays there. So that's why it is said, you should not what you call keep your legs towards the direction where the Lord is present. You have seen night while sleeping and all that. Why it said is because the Lord is present in that direction. Kshudakasha Vishnu, he expands as super soul Paramatma in the heart of every living being and in every atom and space become between the atoms. So now you see here, Lord Krishna expands into these three Purushottama. Mahavishnu, the source of all universes, the Garbhodakasha Vishnu within every universe, and Kshudakasha Vishnu, the super soul in the heart of all living entities. So this verse tells what are the different functions of all these three Purushavatas. Vishnostro trini rupani purushakyani ato vidhu ekam tu mahatah shrishtir dvivityam tve anda samstitam trityam sarva bhutastam tani jnatva vimuchyate. See, ekam tu mahatah shrishtir. The first Purushavatara creates the whole universe. The second, dvitiyam tve anda samstitim. The Garbhodakasha Vishnu, he withholds the anda, the Brahmanda. Tritiyam sarva bhutastam. The third Purushavatara, that is, what is the third Purushavatara? Kshudakasha Vishnu. What does he do? Sarva bhutastam. He is present as super soul in the heart of all the living entities. So the Lord enters the universal form in each universal leg. After creating the total material energy, the Mahat Tattva, and thereby manifesting the gigantic universal form with senses and sense organs, the Supreme Lord entered within it. Actually, the scientists are having so poor fund of knowledge. They tell gravitational constant is equal to 9.8. What is the formula? Anybody knows the formula? Gravitational force is equal to, I remember somewhat, G into M1 into M2 divided by constant into the distance between both the objects, whole square or whole cube. Yeah, good. Memory is good. So they consider this. But scriptures tell how does the universes get this gravitational force or gravitational pull? It's because by the presence of Ananta Shesh. Because of the presence of Ananta Shesh, or usually the source of, again Ananta Shesh is Garbhodakasha Vishnu only. So, till now, nobody can understand that how, because of Ananta Shesh, two objects, when you put in the space, how they get attracted to each other. Nobody knows that till now. So, that is how it is. So from Garbhodakasha Vishnu, the lotus flower comes from his navel, and the stem of that lotus flower is considered, in which all the 14 planetary systems are lying, and it can also be understood that even the Virata Rupa, what some of the people in this world understand the form of the Lord as. So that is actually the arrangement of the 14 planetary system present in the stem navel. So 14 planets consisting of upper, middle and lower three worlds. So see here, these are the one. You might have heard of this. Satyaloka, Tapaloka, Janaloka, Maharloka, Swarloka, Bhuvaloka, Bhuloka, Atala, Sutala, Mahatala, Talatala, Rasatala and Patala. So these are all present in the navel. So like this, these three Purushavatas maintain this whole universe. We'll go ahead, all this. I want to come to this. Yeah. So now, after describing this, our Sutta Goswami goes to the answering of the fifth question. Correct? What is the Leela purpose of different past tense maintained by Leela? So now you see, the questions being asked here are very, very important. So if you see, usually in this material world, every person is engaged in asking questions and the other person is engaged in Answer. You have seen early in the morning, so many birds, they move here and there and they keep chirping. What are they asking actually? They're asking questions. Where is the food? Today morning, it is what you call Sunday, where is the food today? Where is the food today? They're running here and they're running here and there. Not only that, even if you see our own lives, every day we just ask questions and get the answer. But when are these questions are considered to be the best? So in the first canto, first chapter, I think around somewhere in the verse number 12, no? the Sutta Goswami tells, Munaya sadhu prishtoham bhavadbir lokamangalam atokrita krishna samprashno yatma suprasya. But when we all come together and ask questions in relation to Krishna, then that is considered Lokamangalam. What happens? Auspiciousness comes in this material world. And by that inquiry of question and answers in relation to Krishna, what happens? What happens? Yatma suprasidati. We become happy. So now here it's been asked to explain about Leela Avataras. So why it is important to know about this Leela Avataras? So in the second canto, in the 8th chapter, so there also the same question is being posed by Parikshit Maharaj. And Sukadeva Goswami gives elaborate, here it's one verse. There 3-4 verses are being mentioned for one incarnation. Why do they come? See, for us, what you call, when we read the different languages. So one amazing thing is that most of the Leela Avataras, we can see in our altar. Nowhere you can find, what you call, in the whole world, in any temple, as much Leela Avataras we find. One Leela Avatar was there before, but now, so before we had Parshuram also in the altar. Correct? No? I think many of you would have not seen us. So Parshuram photo also was there before we used to worship, but we don't have no. So even Vamandev also is there. So it's the only, what you call, place where we have Abhishekam to Lord Vamandev. So it's very important to get absorbed in these Leelas. So then when we what you call, put our mind, intelligence in understanding the different Leelas of the Lord, what happens is we become freed from the miseries of this material world. And that also is been shown in this verse. So now what we will do is, we will go quick through all these incarnations, all these expansions. So what I request all of you to do is, whenever the photo or say description of the Leela Avatar comes, you should tell in Srimad Bhagavatam in which canto it is described. Is that okay? Is that okay? So that we are awake. I mean, some amount of intelligence is applied. So why do we have to understand these different incarnations? The first one is to execute certain specific functions. So they have a purpose that they come here. Correct? Na? And we know in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also tells what? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Canto 7th chapter 26. To diminish the burden of the earth along with his plenary portion comes in original beautiful black hair. Mission is the same, to lead people to God consciousness and obedience to principles of religion. There is one purport in this third chapter where Prabhupada tells these people, whatever we do, they don't want to take to Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada really goes to very extent to tell them, take to Krishna consciousness, fools. Okay, why you are not taking to Krishna consciousness seriously? So Prabhupada, where purport is there, mostly we'll try to stop it there. So then next is what? To spread Krishna consciousness everywhere. That is also one of the important purpose. So this is how the whole, what you call, the creation is there. So see here, if you're able to see, it is here we have Lord Krishna. Okay? So if you understand this, then you can understand that why so many Leela Avataras are mentioned. So it's little technical, but if you can understand this, when you meet any person in the train who asks you, who is supreme? If you can explain this much, I think some what you call, you'll be able to have stand over the person. So Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Krishna is to Bhagavan Sam. So from Lord Krishna, there are two what you call expansions or lines that is coming. So first one is Swayam Rupa. So Krishna is himself the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So from Lord Krishna comes next, that is Swayam Prakash. Swayam Prakash means Krishna comes as it is. Krishna is as it is. Where do you find Krishna expanding himself as it is? In Ras Leela. Usually if you see between the two gopis, one Krishna is present. Correct? It is Swayam Prakash. Swayam Prakash. He is there as it is. And the next comes Vaibhava Prakash. He is actually same everything. Some change may be there. And that is Balram, right? You may be knowing this pastime. Once in Vrindavan temple, there was a debate between two groups of devotees. Who is supreme? Who is supreme? Krishna or Balram? So one group of devotees said, Krishna. Krishna is the supreme Lord. We know, philosophically everything, we know that. And one group was telling, no, it is Balram. And what you call, it said, how it could be Balram? So they said that no, Balram is the elder brother of Krishna. That's why he is supreme. Then the devotee said, no. But still, what you call Swayam Prakash, Vaibhav Prakash, it has come. So there was so much of argument that was going on, and they went to Prabhupada. So they said that, the first group went and said, Prabhupada, we know that Krishna is the supreme Lord. And we have read in the scriptures, Krishna is Bhagavan Sam. Prabhupada said, correct. Krishna is the supreme Lord. Then the other group said, Prabhupada, we know that, Balaram is the elder brother of Krishna. And we see that, so many times in the Krishna's pastimes that Balaram protects Krishna. So Balaram is the supreme personality of God. Prabhupada said, it is also correct. So devotees wonder, Prabhupada, if both are correct, then who is the supreme Lord? So Prabhupada said, you see there in the altar, who is putting a hand on whom? Balaram is putting hand on Krishna. So who is taking support to stand there? Balaram. So Balaram is putting hand on Krishna to take support. So who is supreme? Krishna is the supreme. But still Prabhupada said, both are same. Why? Because Krishna is black in color and Balaram is white in color. So why it is? Because of Vaibhava Prakash. So now from Balaram comes next expansion. That is, Tad Ekatma Rupa. See here? Tad Ekatma Rupa. So now you see there are so many Vaikuntha planets down the line, right? So all the Vishnus who are there, Adipatis, there here in this Vaikuntha Lokas, they all come from Balaram. Or we can also tell that the first quadruple expansion that comes. Who are the first quadruple expansions? Vasudeva, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Sankarshana. Correct? So they primarily the first they come from the from Balaram. Actually, if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, instructions of Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami, when he asks questions, again question and answer. When he asks questions, he gives full description. There are almost, good number of chapters in the Madhya Lila end. Almost, 7-8 chapters are given. You find it, my God, there are around 64 expansions of Vishnu having the weapons in different place. One has Gada, Chakra, and lotus flower and that, right? So just permutation and combination of these 4 weapons are different Mahavishnus as such. So all of them come where? In the Vilas Rupa. So from there they come. Okay? So we'll not get into more this one. When you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can try to more understand. So now from this Tadayekatma Rupa comes the next whole discussion, that is Swa Amsha. So that is Kalaha. So Etecha Amsha Kalaha Pumsa. So the Kala, the expansion that comes are all under this. So totally this Swa Amsha, the first expansion that we can call, are totally of 6 types of expansions. How many types? 6 types. So how to remember this? You see here there is my LPG gas, whatever. It's costly now. My LP gas. You should not lose it. So first one is Leela Avataras. So there are many Leela Avataras that come. Correct? Like for example, we have Lord Narasimhadev. Correct? We have Lord Vamanadev. We have Lord Ram. So all of them are Leela Avataras. They come to perform the Leelas to enchant the heart of the living entities. Like for example, you see Vamanadev comes as a small boy. Correct? Into that courtyard. And everyone gets attracted by seeing him holding the pot, holding the danda. Small boy, just think of, a small boy comes in the morning program, with say Kamandalu and danda. Everyone is chanting. But focus is, how is he running? What is he doing? How nice is this? Correct? Yes, sir. How many? It happens? Attention goes? Yes, it happens. So Leela, Vamadev comes and he tells, I need how many steps? 3 steps. And Bali Maharaj tells, 3 steps. I can give you, so much of tracts of acres of land as such. Please ask. Why you are asking only for 3 steps? He tells, no, I just need 3 steps. Shukracharya tells, do you know who is this? Who is he? He's Vishnu only, who is coming and asking that, just to give 3 steps. But be careful. Don't give him anything. Take your words back. Otherwise, he's going to take away your whole kingdom. Bali Maharaj tells, Shukracharya, you're telling he's a Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord means we have to worship. Why should I not give charity to him if he's asking? If he wants to take, let him take. And he said, so then what happened to Vamandev? He became so big. With one leg he covered all the worldly planets. And with the second leg he covered all the upper planets. And now he asked for the third planet. And that time, what happened? Brahma asks to Vamandev, Lord, you have said in Bhagavad Gita, Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashati. Lord, you are telling, one more verse also it tells, Teshamaham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavamina chirat partha Mayavesha Chetasa. Yesterday we beheaded this shloka with the electronicity devotees. That's why we're So he tells that, if somebody just focus their mind upon me, what happens? I give them shelter. And here Bali Maharaj has already given everything, whatever, but still you were checking him so much. Lord, this is too much. You're asking too much of surrender. Then what did Vamandev tells? Hey Brahma, be quiet. Don't spoil the whole show. I just want to show to the whole world that how Bali Maharaj is, supreme devotee. Correct, na? So Atma Nivedan he stands for. So you move aside. Don't come in the picture. Don't spoil the whole drama that's happening here. So then he asks Bali Maharaj, what do you mean? Where should I put my third step? So then Bali Maharaj tells, put it on my head. So that time he puts and he becomes glorious. So now when we hear this kind of amazing pastimes mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, what happens to us? Our hearts get enchanted to read them. Actually, Bhagavatam, which is also part of this discussion at the end, is so beautiful that every chapter is filled with so many pastimes of the Lord that if somebody just keeps reading, what happens is their heart automatically becomes cleansed. Nashtapraya Shabadresho Tam Bhagavatase. We just read and associate with the Bhagavatas, our heart automatically becomes purified. And there are so many pastimes for that, stories for that. Sometime we will discuss. So that is about Leela Avataras. And next comes Purusha Avatara. So whatever the point, Vishnu or whatever is there. So comes here Purusha Avatar. That is Karanodakasha Vishnu, Garbhodakasha Vishnu and Shirodakasha Vishnu. And next comes Shaktyavesh Avatar. So again in Shaktyavesh Avatar we have Vibhuti and Avatar. So Vibhuti is the different energies that come in this material world. You know that, right? What you call, Lord tells, among all this, I am this. Among all the mountains, I am Himalayas. Among all the animals, I am lion. Among all the trees, I am banyan tree. You see that? Among all the sages, I am Brihaspati. So he tells all that. So that is about that. And avatars, Shaktyavesh avatar. We see, like for example, if you see Narada Muni, he is also Shaktyavesh. So Shaktyavesh means they are Jiva, but empowerment is done so much that they can act like the Supreme Lord. That is about Shaktyavesh. And next comes Gunavataras. Gunavataras are again three. Who are they? Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, who control the three modes of this material world. And next comes Manvantara Avataras. So there are totally 71 Manus coming in this material world, right? So for every Manu who comes is actually empowered, or sometimes even the Lord only comes, like Yajna that's mentioned, right? Swayambhu Manu, Chakshusha Manu, Vaivashvata Manu. So all these Manvantaras are actually Swa Amshas of the land. Last comes, that is very, very important, is Yuga Avataras. So Yuga Avataras, for every Yuga, one avatar comes. Shuklo, Rakta, Pita, Gauravarna, all this comes. And we know in Kali Yuga, the Yuga Avatara is Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is about the whole description of overview of how all the incarnations. So that is mentioned here in the Leela Avatar. So we'll go fast. So this is all I explained now. So these are all many technical terms. So you see here in Vaibhava Vilas, we said, right, that first quadruple expansion comes, and from them many incarnations come. So you see here expansions comes. Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Narayanaya Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha, Om Vishnave Namaha, Madhusudanaya Namaha, Om Rishikeshaya Namaha, Om Padmanabhaya Namaha, Om Damodaraya Namaha, Om Shridaraya Namaha, Om Vamanaya Namaha, Om Trivikramaya. So when we apply tilak to the body parts, actually we are invoking all of them to protect, or what you call shield this body to engage in the service of Lord. So it's very important to chant these mantras. So what happens usually in the centers, we have morning programs starting at 5 o'clock, 4:30, whatever. So devotees, if they come late, they have to write Maha mantras or whatever transcendental punishment or whatever is there as such. So one devotee was there, he'll become late to come to morning program. So only few seconds were left, and still he has to apply the tilak parts on all over the body. So you put the 2 fingers in the tilak box and Om Keshavaya Namaha, Vamanaya Namaha and Om Vishnuvaya Namaha together. Here, everywhere and jump into the morning program as such. So we should try to avoid that. We should only use one finger and chant, invoke one person. It's not like, no, please, it's becoming late for me to go to temple. Both of incarnation, please come early and reside here. It should not be like that. So these are different, what you call the 6 important avatars. That is what? My LPG gas. Yes. So M stands for Manvantara. Yeah. Y stands for Yuga Avatara. L stands for P stands for G stands for S stands for Shaktavesh. My LPG gas. Please make sure nobody steals it. It's very costly nowadays. Yeah. So in this 3rd chapter, we have different incarnations, correct? So first is Varaha Avatar. Comes in which canto? 3rd canto. 3rd canto. And again it also comes in? It also comes in? Same 3rd canto, only 2 times it comes. So one is, for what you call the first Manvantara, and second one is for the 6th Manvantara. 2 times it gets repeated. So he is the enjoyer of all the sacrifices. And you know that Charma Shloka, right? Where Varahadev tells, anybody gives their engage in the service of the Lord, even if they forget at the end of their life to remember me, what will I do? I give them remembrance and take them back to Godhead. So that promise is given by Varahadev. And next comes Matsya Avatara. Matsya Avatara comes in 12th canto. Correct? When the whole dissolution happens, Matsya Avatara comes and protects the sages and to continue the generations that comes there. And Kurma Avatar comes in. The churning of milk ocean happens in which canto? Anybody knows? Samudra Manthan Lila happens in which canto? 7th or 8th? 8th canto. It's very important. When you read Bhagavatam, you'll get to know all these things. Narsimha Lila comes in which canto? 7th canto. Yes, all of you know this. See, Narsimha Dev is called a supreme personality of anger. Vamandev comes in. 8th canto. And Vamandev is called a supreme personality of punishment. So we have Vamandev. We can ask, if we do any mistake, we can come and pray to Vamandev. You are supreme personality of punishment. Please help me to not to have the punishment of going down to the hellish planets, but give me some punishment so that I will go back to Godhead. The purpose is he was willing to regain the kingdom of demigods to Bali Maharaj, from Bali Maharaj. And next comes Lord Ram, Leela Avatar. So separately there is Valmiki Ramayana only, but in Bhagavatam comes which canto? 9th canto. Very, very important. Very, very beautiful also. Right? He's called as again supreme personality of punishment. Purpose is to perform some pleasing work for the demigods. And the lesson is, do not put faith on any relation, keep faith on me. In the sense, usually the Lord is telling that, especially Vibhishan pastime, if you see all that, right? So don't get away by that. So these are all the different. Then comes Purusha Avataras. These are the 3 Purusha Avataras. Where do we find Purusha Avataras? First 3 cantos is filled with Purusha Avataras. What he did, what the 2nd canto, 3rd canto. Sometimes I am reading 11th canto. There also is, again, what you call Krishna. There is one separate chapter. Uddhava asks, please explain me about again Purusha Avataras. Again, that there also it is described as such. So it's very important to not to, what you call neglect reading the first 3 cantos. Very important. Nakara, Alas. Please be awake. Guna Avataras. What are the 3 Guna Avataras? Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. And Shakta Vesh Avatar. See here? Shesha. Swa. Sevena Shakti, personal service of the Lord. So they engage in the personal service of the Lord, like Chatush Kumaras, they're very, very dear to the Lord. Ananta, Bhu Dharana Shakti, maintenance of the world, right? So the Ananta Shesh also is expansion of the Lord. Next comes Shakti Avesh Avatar, that we saw. Prutu Maharaj, Parashuram, then comes Manvantara avatar, then comes Yuga avatars. So when Krishna incarnates, all the features of other incarnations are already present within him. Other incarnations are partial representations of Krishna, who is the full-fledged incarnation of Supreme Being. So now comes this one. So when Sutta Goswami mentions all the incarnation in 1.3.20 through 23, he mentions Krishna also is one of the incarnations. Now it rises to question, Hare, what is this? You are telling Krishna also is one among all these 22 Leela avatars? We get a doubt, right? Ki, is he Supreme Lord or one of the Leela avatars? So now, after telling all these things, he comes to the very important verse, that is 1.3.28, which will give a little bit more time to discuss. Yeah. Please repeat. एते च अंशकला पुंस कृष्णस्तु भगवान् स्वयं इंद्रारिव्याकुलं लोकं मृडयन्ति युगे युगे. One devotee can recite.
कृष्णस्तु भगवान् स्वयं इंद्रारिव्याकुलं लोकम् निद्यन्ति युगे युगे
Mridayanti yuge yuge. So now this verse is very, very important. How many of you know this verse by heart? How many of you know this verse by heart? It's very important that we need to remember this verse to tell to anyone that the Lord Krishna whom we are worshipping, he is the supreme source of all the incarnations. So if you had, it's very important to remember. So now just by breaking down the words and trying to know the meaning of it, we'll be able to do this. So now this verse is called as Paribhasha Sutra. So what do you mean by Paribhasha Sutra? Sutra means, like, see, for example, you might have seen in the circus, there will be one center pivot and there will be many, many other things that will be moving here around. You have seen? Or you would have seen that chakra, big, what do you call it? I don't know, giant wheel you call it as, there are so many dabbas there going around and there is one more center, right? So that central pivot is very important. Say, for example, somebody goes and cuts it. What will happen to that giant wheel? It will rotate on the earth. There's a problem in that, correct? Na? So this, like, see, among all the Puranas, how many Puranas? 18 Puranas. The Bhagavatam is considered as very, very important, or that is a pivot point, under all the Puranas revolve. Why? Because in the other Puranas, we find glorification of Bhagavatam. But in Bhagavatam, you don't find glorification of other Puranas. Rather, it tells glorification of its own. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnava Nam Priyam Nimnaganam Yata Ganga Devanam Achyuto Yata Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu Puranam Idam Tata Krishne Swadama Upagate Dharma Jnanadi Bisaha Kalau Nashtadrisha Amisha Puranarko Adunot. It glorifies Bhagavatam. That's why it is very, very central. Similarly, in the Bhagavatam, there are how many verses? 18,000 verses. So among all those verses, which is the pivot point? Which is the central shloka around which all the other verses revolve is this verse. So usually this verse is introduced in the initial chapters. That's why we find it in the third, so the clarification is done. This is the verse. Now all the verses, whatever you are going to read, should be in line with them. But we find sometimes some verses may be there where we may not get to know that, ki Krishna is the Supreme Lord. No. The Acharyas give interpretation of that verse in such a way, again they have to bend down to this verse only. Like, for example, in an army, you find, the king is there, the commander is there. Now there are, so many soldiers, right, in that. Now there are thousands of soldiers who are following that king, correct, that commander. So now, what you call, all of them obey his rule. Now you find two people in that who are not obeying his command, or who are not obeying his order. What will they do? They call them for meeting in the tent, correct, na? And they tell them that, you have to bend down to him. So similarly, some contradictions that we find in the scriptures, the Acharyas give explanation to them, so that again it bends down to this verse. Okay, so now, Ete means till now, Sutta Goswami is telling all the incarnations that I have explained, right? So please try to pay attention to just what a little bit of explanation, which is there how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is mentioned in Bhagavad Subodhini also in the end, 200 page onwards. Very nicely it's presented there. So just sometimes, we might have not read, or we might not be knowing as such, and I think some of you would have done Bhakti Shastra, you may be knowing also as such. So just for a clarification, if we can just understand some points that how Krishna is the Swayam Bhagavan, it's very, very important, and what you call, it helps us also, and it helps, we can help others also to come and take shelter of Lord Krishna. We can help them to understand Goloka Vrindavan, because Krishna means rasas, so we can bring them to the rasa of understanding different rasas. Ete means all the incarnations that are there, that I have explained now, right? What are the incarnations? Cha amshaha, they all are amsha. Amsha means part, correct? They are all the expansions that are coming from me. Kalaha means again plenary portions. Here amsha means plenary portions, kalaha means portions of the plenary portion, kala avatar. Correct, na? So all these things, whatever I explained, and even including the Pumsa. So here the word Pumsa is also referred to Purusha avatars. So whatever I have explained, all these avatars till now, among all of them, Krishna, he's telling here, next line he's telling Krishna. So among all of them, he's taking out Krishna out and telling Tu. So you see all these incarnations, don't consider Krishna also is one of them. No. Krishna, but see, like for example, say, I tell, ki Raviraj Prabhu is there. No, Raviraj Prabhu is such a nice devotee. He's very wonderful devotee. I give all the things what are there. But if I use the word tu means what? But means what happens? I'm going to tell something now more important thing. Correct? Now he's a very good mridanga player, but he doesn't sing while playing mridanga. Correct? Even like, what you call, ki, that becomes more important. You forget all the glorification that is done before and you will remember but. So similarly, here, Krishna's tu means, when it is said that Krishna's tu means, all these are there, but Krishna is, but Swayam Bhagavan. He is Swayam Bhagavan. So now the word Bhagavan, see, Bhagavan Swayam. So Bhagavan is been put before, and after that is coming Swayam. So this is very important. So Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Ridayanti Yuge Yuge. So what you call, how we need to understand this verse is that even when our Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has to put the point that how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the supreme, Krishna is. So when Prabhupada used to give initiations to devotees, he used to ask maybe 2 to 3 questions he used to ask. He used to ask, who is Lord Chaitanya? Who is Lord Chaitanya? If any devotee tells that Lord Chaitanya is an incarnation of Krishna, Prabhupada tells, next time. So who is Lord Chaitanya? Swayam Krishna is actually Krishna. So what Kaviraj Goswami does this in Chaitanya Charitamrita, to prove Lord Chaitanya, he does simple thing. What? He proves Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and he tells at the end that Krishna only has come as Lord Chaitanya, and hence Lord Chaitanya is the Krishna. Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of God. He does that simple analysis. So here, the first thing that we need to understand is that in Bhagavatam very consistently, so the first point in establishing that how Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord, is the Supreme Personality of God, it is, first thing is, consistency is very much maintained in the Bhagavatam to show how Krishna only is the Supreme Lord. Like the first verse of 1.3.1. If you see there, what is mentioned is that, I'll just show you that verse. You see here, in this, you see Bhagavan, see, Jagre Paurusham Rupaha, Bhagavan Mahad Adibhi, Sambhutam Shodasha Kalam, Adho Loka Shishikshaya. So you see here, Paurusham, plenary portions as the Purusha incarnations. That is given separately, and the word Bhagavan is given separately. Correct, na? So, Krishna is being separated here. Not only that, when the questions were asked in the initial itself, the word comes. Yat Krita Krishna Samprashno Ye Atma Suprasidat. Anything in relation to Krishna is Loka Mangala. And not only that, we also see in the further that ki, oh Sutta Goswami, because we are asking all these questions, don't think that you can just explain whatever you want, or anything from here and there. No, no, no. Please tell us exclusively about Lord Krishna. So they mentioned that ki Krishna, Krishna. Please explain about this very much as such. And not only that, in the first verse itself, that is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So there is mentioned about Lord Krishna. Correct? Bhakti Purushottam Maharaj also proved that that Vasudeva is about Lord Krishna. And we see at the last verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, 11th chapter, 25 verse, also telling Shri Krishna, Krishna Saka, Vrishabhamani Drik. So there also it's mentioned about Lord Krishna. So we see the whole Bhagavatam telling about Krishna. So that is the first point. What consistency is. So second thing, I think, discussing all 12 will take our time, maybe a few things. You see how many cantos are there in Bhagavatam? 12 cantos. Which is that canto which talks exclusively about Lord Krishna? 10th canto. There is one more canto which also talks about exclusively about Krishna. 11th canto. You see in 11th canto, who speaks? Krishna. Who speaks? Which incarnation speaks? Krishna. No incarnation. It's spoken by Lord Krishna only. So, if you see whole Srimad Bhagavatam, totally there are around 325 chapters, if I'm not wrong. 325 chapters, maybe plus or minus 5, something like that. 325 chapters are there. Now, how many chapters are present in 10th canto? 90 chapters. How many chapters are present in 11th canto? 31. 31 chapters. So, how much is 90 plus 35? 121. And if you see in Bhagavatam here and there are few chapters dedicated for Krishna. If you see 3rd canto, Uddhava speaks one chapter full of pastimes, Krishna did that, Krishna this, and he goes in ecstasy only, speaking only about pastimes of Krishna. In 2nd canto, you will find Lord Brahma talking all the pastimes of Krishna. In 1st canto, again you will find Krishna took Arjuna and went for catching Ashwathama. Correct? So you find like this many chapters. So if you see, more 50% of Bhagavatam is only glorification of Krishna. And here and there, what you call first 9 chapters, here and there they are given about incarnation of the Lord. Correct? So that is the second thing. And third thing that we need to also understand is that you may find some statements here and there telling that from Vishnu came Krishna. Like for example, many people have confusion about in the the Krishna taking birth from Devaki and Vasudeva. That first Vishnu came from 4 hands, and then came. So, see, this is a historical narration. This is a historical narration that this act happened. So when historical event comes and philosophical event comes, which has to be taken in higher version, that is philosophical. Jiva Goswami tells the philosophical point has to be considered upper limit than historical event. So in that way, if you see, the philosophical event is here being said, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So that plays the major role. And third thing that we also can see is that in the same chapter, it is said, Krishna Swadam Upagate Dharma Jnanadibisa Kalau Nashta Disha. So when Krishna went to back to God, when Krishna went to the spiritual abode, the religion took shelter under whom? Under Bhagavatam. So the whole Bhagavatam is actually Krishna. So I'll just show you one verse from how other scriptures glorify Bhagavatam. You're able to see? Somehow my laptop, when it comes on dice, it becomes slow. Okay. It's not coming. So very beautifully it is mentioned that ki tena bhagavatam uchyate. The other scriptures tell very beautifully the verse is composed bhagavata. So that verse comes, ki where the whole shloka is composed, the miseries of the life will be gone just by what you call from Bhagavatam as such. So that is mentioned. And the fourth thing that we also could see is that the form of Krishna is very vividly mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So there are totally 3 to 4 verses which describe the beauty of Krishna. So I know this is a little bit technical, but it's very important to establish this. So what you call the first verse that is mentioned is by Brahma in the prayers. Now midyate abravapushe tadidam baraya gunjavatam saparipicchala sanmukaya Vanyasraje kavala vetra vishala venu Lakshmashriye abravapushe Pashupangajaya. When Krishna is standing with, curd rice, pickles in his hand, putting one, what you call, standing with, you might have seen that photo, right? Holding, and just standing like this, and Brahma is coming and offering prayer. The first verse offered is this verse. Seeing the beauty of the Lord. Now midyate abravapushe tadidambaraya. He is wearing nice, peacock feather, kirita, mukuta, gunjamala, holding so many pickles in his hand. So that beauty, glorification. And the second glorification comes in Venu Gita by the gopis. Baraha pida natavaravappu karnayo karnikara vibradvasa kanaka kapisham vaijayantim chamalam randrar venura adara sudaya purayan gopa vrundai Vrindaranyam Sopadaramanam Balishad Gita Kirti. Again, they also glorify Baraha Pidam Natavarapu. And the third verse comes when all the Brahmana Patnis came to take darshan of Lord Krishna bringing the different fruits, right? So then they also glorify that. The verse comes, the verse that they tell, that is also very, very important. So these three also verses also show that Krishna's form is higher than all the things. And sometimes, we may see that some pastimes may be a little bit contradictory. Like for example, we see that, Krishna taking Arjuna and going to Mahavishnu. So there the word comes, Amshena, something like that comes. So there the Acharyas tell that Amsha is different than Krishna being the Supreme Lord. So like this, different verses are given to show that how, the Lord, Krishna is the Supreme Person. So I did not explain about the 12 points that given by Jiva Goswami. So devotees can refer to this Subodhini, chapter number 200, 12 points given by Jiva Goswami, one after another, how the points is put. So some points we discussed now. And one more important thing also. You see, many times in Bhagavatam, question and answers happens, right? Many times there are devotees who ask question to tell only about Krishna. I said, in the first canto, 7th chapter tells, Sutta Goswami tells, don't divert details because we are asking so many questions. Please make sure that you tell about Krishna. And even, to Sukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj also says, so please explain me lucidly. In the 9th canto, last chapter, last 2 verses, what Sukadeva Goswami does is to check whether Parikshit Maharaj is really interested to hear about Krishna's form. What does he do? He explains the whole pastimes of Krishna in just 2 verses. Whole pastime. 90 chapters of 10th canto, he just compresses in the 2 verses. Will not recite these verses. If you find time, go to 9th canto, last chapter, last 2 verses. Very beautiful verses. Atmanam, Atmanikam, the verse comes. Parikshit Maharaj tells, what I have done that, you are telling all the pastimes just, please tell me, what happened step by step, what all pastimes Krishna did. Then he puts a lot of questions there. So then, again, to establish the position of Krishna, Sukadeva Goswami says, Yena avatairana Bhagavan Ishvaro Harihi. The verse comes there. Shnoti Sukadeva Krishna. So we can see that, questions are asked too much about Krishna in the Bhagavatam. So that's why anybody who reads Bhagavatam will become addicted to Krishna. So that is there. So we'll go ahead now. So we discussed all this purport, whatever is there here. So next, the fourth aspect that comes here in this is about the, what you call, you had seen some of the teachers, some of the scientists, some of the philosophers in this world, they're too much, doing studies on the nature. There was one scientist who did 40 years research on grass. On what? Grass. He needed so much, 40 years he has to spend the life, to just understand about grass. Such a waste of time, right? Because he is understanding, what is there in the grass. How from grass comes milk. That was his research. And there are some scientists who have done research for many, many years to check whether cow dung is pure or not. There are some scientists, though their hands are paralyzed, their legs are paralyzed, they are always sitting like this on the wheelchair, and they are telling God does not exist. Big Bang theory, black hole theory, all those theories that they have come up with the space writing this much big, volumes of books. For them, there are 5 to 6 verses mentioned in this chapter which tells that this Virat Rupa, what is there? I'm just telling in essence, it's very, So what it tells is, you see, in this body there is spirit soul, there is subtle body, and there is gross body, correct na? Similarly to the universe, to the Brahmanda also has the living entity, the soul, the subtle body, and there is gross body. So the gross body which is seen is this universe with mountain. That's why it is said, the mountains are the backbones of the Lord. The rivers are the veins of the Lord. The trees are the hairs of the Lord. What you call, the eyes are the sun and the moon of the Lord. Correct? The wind is the air that's moving through the nostrils. All these things are described. Correct? So that is for them, these people, So they become pacified, they are not rejected from. And if you see, what you call the next explanation, the subtle body for this universal form is the Virat Rupa. So there is conception of the universal form for this whole universe that is called as subtle body. And the soul of this whole universe is Lord Brahma. And the super soul is considered as Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. So now here the verse comes, reject all the gross, and see, if the illusory energy subsides and the living entity becomes fully enriched with knowledge by the grace of the Lord, then he becomes at once enlightened with self-realization and becomes situated in his whole glory. So since it is summary, it's difficult to cover the purport. My request to all of you is please read this purports. Very important. Very, very important purports. See here. Thus learned men describe, see, the intelligent people will not describe about the gross body. They will not describe about the subtle body. They will describe the one who gives in life, the one who gives energy for the whole universe. So this is also proved in the second canto, how when the super soul enters, the whole universe starts to work when Garbhodakashaya enters. So it's mentioned. So intelligent devotee, what does he do? Describe the births and activities of the unborn and inactive, which are undiscoverable even in the Vedic literatures. He is the Lord of the heart. So they focus towards the Vishnu who is present there inside. You see here? So these are all things. So one verse comes, we'll just, so now how do we develop? Now, the sages may become, oh my God, we don't have so much of interest towards this Purushavataras and the one who gives. So how do we? So please repeat this. Save dadatu padavim parasya duranta virasya ratangapane yo mayaya santatayanu Bhajeta tatpada saroja gandham. So now, all these, who is giving the life. So the source of him is Krishna. It's also mentioned here. See, only those who render unreserved, uninterrupted, favorable service unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, who carries the wheel of the chariot in his hand, Chakrapani, can know the creator of the universe in his full glory, power, and does Krishna carry chakra? Does Krishna carry Sudarshan chakra? He can manifest or evoke whenever is required. And we have many pastimes for that, right? Sudarshan, Jagai, Madai, Krishna and Lord Chaitanya non-different. Then we have Shishupal, right? So many places. And even in Arjuna and Krishna had gone for, in the forest. That time also at one instance, Krishna was chakra. So how do we now develop, attachment to the lotus feet of Krishna is when we render unreserved, uninterrupted, favorable service. So when we keep rendering this service, not becoming reserved, that I will do only this, I will not do that, or not become interrupted, and execute favorable service which is pleasing to the spiritual master, then what happens? We will be able to develop attachment to the lotus feet of Krishna. So this purport is again very, very important. See here, as stated in the Lord himself guides the pure devotees towards the path of realization due to their constant engagement in the loving service of the Lord in spontaneous affection. That is the secret of entering into kingdom of Godhead. So many points are there like this actually. Many points are there like this. Everyone within the creation of the Lord is rendering service to the Lord directly or indirectly. But indirect people will go down, direct people will go back to Godhead. So it goes on, and the last portion that comes, where did the religious principles take shelter after Krishna went back to his own abode. So this comes, idam bhagavatam nama puranam brahma sammitam uttama shloka charitam chakara bhagavan rishi nishreyasya lokasya dhanyam swastyayanam mahat. So this Bhagavatam Nama is Puranam Brahma Sammitam. It is supplementary to the Vedas, means it's the essence of the Vedas, and it's Brahma Samhita. It is about the Lord Krishna, how Krishna came. Uttama Shloka Charitam, the activities of Lord Krishna are mentioned here. Bhagavan, see here, Rishi. So whoever reads this, what happens? Nishreyasyaya Lokas. It is for the ultimate good of the people, and whoever reads this will become fully dhanyam, successful, swasti ayanam, blissful, and they become Mahatmas. And here comes Sri Vyasadeva delivered it to his son, who is Sukadeva Goswami, who is the most respected among the self-realized after extracting the cream of all Vedic literatures and histories of the universe. And now, very important verse comes. That is very, very, please repeat. Krishne svadamo pagate dharma jnanadi bisaha kalau nashta drisha mesha puranarko adunoditah. So when Krishna went, what to do now? If Krishna, who has come, see, in that Swamsha, Vilas and all, right, there also when Krishna comes. Krishna, Jagan, there also many incarnations come. But in this particular age, Krishna who comes is that Swayam Krishna. Is not Vilas, Rupa, Prakash, Vibhav, not that Krishna. The Krishna who comes in this particular cycle, that is 28th cycle, of 7th Manvantara, is Swayam Krishna. So we have to take benefit of that. We cannot remain bad children. We should not be like bad children, that I want to do everything which is against my father well-being. Correct? No, we should not try to do that. So if we just follow the process given by Srila Prabhupada, for sure it is assured that we'll be able to go back to Godhead. That's possible as such. So when Krishna has gone, Dharma and Jnana also went off. So where did they take shelter? So that time when the whole world was filled with darkness, nothing was there, then the sun arose, and that sun is Srimad Bhagavatam. So if you see the life of Srila Prabhupada, the very we can see the whole energy that Prabhupada gave to in his whole existence is actually to write books. When Krishna also said to Prabhupada, this is said by Bhavananda Prabhu, when Prabhupada and him was confined in one of the room without windows, Prabhupada said, I did not want you to come down to this material world, but Krishna said me to. Krishna asked me to go and write books. So one of the very important purpose that Prabhupada has come is to write books, and in that also he gave so much of his whole life and energy is to write Bhagavatam. Skipping his meals, skipping his night sleeps, he has written this Bhagavatam. So it's very important for all of us to understand its value. Many times, devotees will prove my Bhagavatam book is lost, Prabhu. My book is lost means I kept here and there, went off. It's a part of body of Lord Krishna, right? First canto, second canto of the feet, third canto, fourth canto, fifth canto, the whole description in the upper shelves in the voice. Rather, it has to mean Krishna is very safely kept, not lost. Should be brought down and it should be worshipped in the form of reading it. Correct? Na? So, it's very, very important for all of us to recognize the importance. So, if we read Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada tells, even if we read, one page, not one page, one line, not one line, one word, what happens? Love for Krishna arises in our heart. So, how many of you read Srila Prabhupada books? Daily one page at least. 5 to 10 minutes at least, we should ask actually how many of you Mahanand Prabhupada, we should read Bhagavatam how many times? 3 hours. You touch, you read one page, start with one page, and slowly we develop that attachment. So persons who have lost their vision due to the dark distance of ignorance in this age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. So in this way, the conclusion of all the questions have been answered, and now the 4th chapter, which is very, very, so now this is all philosophical discussion. So now starts pastimes. Narada Muni comes in picture, Vyasadeva comes in picture, Uchistalepa, Nanamodita, Anyo, how, I was there with my mother, snake came and bit. So these all pastimes come. So I'd like to stop here and be awaited for the next wonderful discussion that's going to come in the first canto from now onwards, different very beautiful pastimes. So take up here. So I thank all of you very much for giving me an opportunity to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, by which I become purified. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So any questions are there, devotees can come and ask personally, since devotees are hungry for prasadam. Because I know it's a technical aspect of all the avatars, so better to take personally, otherwise I'll be in trouble.
Let us thank Vijay Guru for his wonderful presentation on this Krishna, the source of incarnation. So Prabhuji prepared yesterday night itself. So yesterday night and altogether lot of actually prepared the presentation. Let us thank Prabhuji by one time loudly chanting the Hare Krishna mantra.
Are there any devotees who have come for the first time to the Sunday morning program? Are there anybody? Please stand up, Prabhu. Have come for the first time. Anybody have come for the first time from Mataji's side? Yeah, please stand up.
So we would like to welcome you to the abode of Lord Jagannath. So let us chant one time Hare Krishna mantra for all these devotees who have come first time. So, we have special gifts awaiting you. Please be there. So all devotees can proceed for prasad.